Hi all. Today we'll be discussing about an introduction to Scala. In this we'll discuss like how to read, how to write a small program, like how to read, how to understand a program, all those things. So the word Scala, like why the name Scala? So the reason behind the name Scala is like Scala is a scalable programming language because it can be used for writing small programs as well as like large scale programs. So the Scala team developed this program as like from the learnings that get they got from their existing like learnings that they got from the existing programs. Means this one it's actually like an abstract programming language, so that can be used for programming in like in for large scale applications. So Scala is very like it's very lightweight programming language. It's very easy to write programs, and it, when you compare with Java, you may find a lot of similarities with Java, but it is actually like very lightweight compared to Java, and it is very easy. When you like compare the programs written in Java and Scala for the same use case, you may find like Scala program is actually like very easy, and it is very easy to develop and performs actually very well, like so compared to Java. The Scala means Scala is developed by the team of Martin Ordesky, and it is a combination. The scalability is achieved by combining the object-oriented and functional programming methodologies. So, like it is like as I said, it is developed from the learnings of the previous programming languages, and in this programming language, everything is object, and this was released in early 2013. And this is again another programming language, and like or this is again actually another programming language on top of JVM, Java Virtual Machine. So this is again one of the new, like just like Java program, this program also runs on top of JVM. So so we'll be discussing more details about this programming language, and in like after this. So this is actually just an intro of this programming language. So Scala is actually like this is like these are the core properties of Scala. So Scala actually runs on top of JVM, and it is actually like it's a high level language. So it runs on it's actually an abstraction by combining object oriented programming language concepts with functional programming. So it's a combination of both O and functional programming technologies. Scala is statically typed. I will actually discuss in more detail. We'll discuss in more detail. It's about the like static and dynamic types. So as of now, actually just believe or just take it as like Scala is a statically typed programming language, and it is very powerful. It's like when compared to Java programming, when comparing the number of lines and the effort to develop, it's very easy to develop. It's very easy to develop, and it's very powerful. Scala, like it's again another Java, like it's a part of the JVM language landscape. So you can see here like Scala, Ceylon, like Java, Jython, Ruby, JRuby, Clojure. All these languages are actually like part runs on JVM. So Scala is again another language that runs on JVM, and Scala we can like it's like those who are Java programmers, it will be very easier for them, and like they can use Scala to interact with like Java. Like Scala can interact with Java, Java can interact with Scala, so that like interactions actually between Java programs and Scala programs, it's possible. So it's very easy to write these programs. So who is using Scala? These are actually some of the famous companies or organizations like in the internet. So means are like technology companies. So these companies actually are using Scala for developing their applications. Some use cases of Scala, like Scala is used in developing web applications, large scale distributed applications, then graphical user interfaces, scripting, messages. All these use cases Scala is used. So like when talking about large scale distributed applications, so you may know Spark, Apache Spark. It's actually like a distributed application for processing large data in a very fast like way, faster way. So it runs like that. Apache Spark is actually written completely on Scala. So that Spark is actually like it's a very top project in Apache, and it's all like it's almost like the it's actually like coming almost similar. The popularity is coming almost similar near to Hadoop. So and that complete the entire Spark is actually developed on Scala. So like it is like which means actually Scala is a proven language. So it's actually like a lot of people are using the Scala, and it is a proven language, and its performance is actually already proven in a lot of cases. Then Scala is statically typed. So statically typed means like a programming language. So it can be either statically typed or dynamically typed. So statically typed means, suppose if a variable x, if you are assigning a value y, like if you are assigning a value called a, so a is of type like it's of type a dash. So we can't actually, like if it is a statically typed programming language, we can't assign a value b of another type to x. Means the type of x, the type of the x cannot be changed. If you are assigning something to x, it should be of a proper type. After that, you can't actually like similarly suppose here, if I am assigning the place is a variable, I am assigning the value Washington to the place. I can't assign, so here Washington is of string type. I can't assign a different type, something like an integer, to the place. It is not possible. So it's the type of the variable cannot be changed. So that is statically typed. This is actually like a very common thing, because in Java also it's like that. A variable of string of type string cannot be assigned with another value of type int. That is a common property. Dynamically typed means we can assign multiple, like we can assign values of multiple types, the various types, to a single variable. Suppose like if suppose place equal to Washington. If I am assigning, secondly, if I am assigning where place equal to like something 1, it's an integer. So that will happen, but Scala will not support that kind of assignment. So Scala is a statically typed language. So another example for statically typed language is like Java is another statically typed language. So that is actually the difference between statically typed and dynamically typed. So Scala is statically typed. Then now we can actually try installing Scala in a machine. So like Scala works on Windows, Linux, it basically works on any type of environment. It's like almost platform independent. So like most of us will be having like either Windows, Linux, or Mac. So I'll show you like how to install Scala in like in this kind of environments. I'll show you like Windows and Linux. You can try, like if you have Mac, it will be almost similar only. So it's very easy to install Scala. Just download the binary from the Scala website. Like if it is a Windows, just double click on the installable, it will install the Scala. Then we have to set the path. Similarly in Linux, what we have to do is download the binary, extract the tarball, set the Scala home, and add it to the path. That's it. So it's very easy to install Scala in, like it is similar to Java. So one more thing, it needs Scala needs actually JVM. It's running, since it is running on top of JVM. So we need actually Java to be present in the machine. So like we need JDK 6 1.6 or above. Scala will work fine with Java 1.6 or above. So we'll see how to install Scala in a machine. We'll see how to install Scala in a Linux machine. So this is like my Linux command line. So here I am typing Scala. So command not found. It's not installed in this machine. So I am going to download Scala from internet and going to install here. Scala download. So all download, we'll go to all downloads, we'll see. Yeah, so we'll download the 2.11 version. So this is actually for Windows, it's a .exe one. And so here we'll get the macOS Unix or Cygwin version. So what we'll do is we'll copy this URL. Okay, fine. We'll copy this URL and download here. Either like you can do in both the ways. Either you can download from Windows and copy it to this machine, or else you can download, if you have internet connection in that machine itself, you can download directly from the command line. So here I have where it is, this is the one. So I have now Scala, it's here. Scala is available actually. So I'm going to extract that Scala. The command is tar-xvf Scala tarball. So it got extracted. Now I'm going to Scala folder. So now I am inside Scala. So we have a bin here. Here we have the Scala. So see, if I type /Scala, I'll get inside the Scala command line. So Ctrl:/Q will like exit from the command line, Scala command line. So here see, like you can see Java hotspot. Java is already in this machine, Java -version. So I forgot to tell you, Java is already existing in this machine. So now like if I come out of bin, if I type Scala, I'll get command not found. So to make actually this thing proper, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the environment variable of Scala home. So I'm putting the environment variable export Scala_home equal to this location, export path equal to $Scala_home /bin : $path. Now I'm going to refresh the environment variable like bashrc /bashrc. Now if I type Scala, I am entering into the Scala shell. So the installation in the Linux is done. Similarly, like you can install in Windows also. Windows, like you just have to download the, like we will get .exe for Windows actually. So you can download the .exe, like either you can download the MSI or else you can download this one. So you'll get for Windows, we will get the Windows installer. So download it, or else actually you can download the zip also. If you don't want to install it, you can actually download the zip file and add it to the path. So you can set the environment variable of Scala home and you can add it to the path. Then from the command line, you can like when you type Scala, it will directly enter into the Scala command line. See, it entered into the Scala command line. So in this way it will work. I already installed in my Windows, so that is the reason actually like it's entering into the command line properly and added to the path. I have Scala installed in my Windows machine also. This is the way to install Scala. Now we are ready to like try the remaining parts. So now we have the Scala environment ready. So before starting Scala, before programming Scala, like you should have a basic knowledge about like the object-oriented concepts, like what is an object, what is a class, what are methods, like then what are the fields. So like if you know any of the object-oriented programming languages, actually like you will be already aware of these things. Like, but we are just putting these things like so that like we will be like clear before programming this thing. So object like it's actually, an object can have states. It is something actually which has states and behaviors. So like suppose like a dog has a states, color, name, tail, etc., and it has the behaviors like wagging, backing, eating, smelling, all these things. So any object, it's like, so that is actually an object. So object is something with which has states and behaviors. So then class is actually defined as the template or blueprint that describes the behaviors and states, so that like objects of its type supports. So suppose like birds is actually a category, it's a wide category, we can call birds as the class, and pigeon as one of the object of the class bird. So pigeon is actually one of the object of the class bird. So similar class is actually like a wide category, it's a template. Then method is actually like basically the behavior of a class. So like pigeon, actually it's a bird, so it flies. So flying behavior is actually, it's a method, we can call that as a method. Then fields, it is actually like it's a unique set of instant variables. So like the state of an object is actually created by assigning values to these fields. So those are actually the fields of a fields. So these are actually the basic things that needs to be like clear before going into like programming the Scala. Fine. Then like those who are aware of Java programming, like you will be using the semicolon at the end of every lines. But in Scala actually we don't need that. It's an optional thing. So like those who are practiced with the semicolon, like you don't need that semicolon at the end of every line in case of Scala. So in programming languages like Python and all, there is no semicolon. Like if you are actually like that much fond of this semicolon, you can use it. It's not actually a mandatory thing in Scala. Then some general points actually. So case sensitivity. So Scala is actually case sensitive. Like small letter ABC and capital letter ABC, or any combination of capital letter and small letter, it will be different. It has different meanings. Fine. Then class names. So it's just like the Java. The class name, the first letter of the class name should start with capital letter. Then method names. All the method names should start with a lowercase letter. Program file name. So it should be the same as the object name. It should exactly match with the object name, otherwise it will not work. Then Scala programs actually starts from main method, just like Java. The execution starts from main method. In Java also, like the execution starts at the main method. It is similar to Java in these cases. Now identifiers in Scala. So like just like any programming languages, the names used in this programming language for objects, classes, variables, methods, everything extra, all these things are known as like identifiers. So we cannot actually use any keyword, like that is actually not allowed in almost all programming languages. So we cannot use any keyword as an identifier. So there are actually a set of restricted keywords that is in Scala. So like it is actually mentioned here. So don't use actually those things as the variable, like identifiers, any of the identifiers actually. So the keywords are actually listed here. So like it's listed actually here in the coming slides actually. I'll show you like what are the keywords used in Scala. Those are actually restricted words. We can't actually use that thing as an identifier. So like Scala, like there are multiple types of identifiers in Scala. We can categorize the identifiers in Scala as 4 types. One is alphanumeric identifier, another is operator identifier, mixed identifier, and literal identifier. So I'll tell you, like I'll explain you one by one. So alphanumeric identifier, like since like just like the example, it is a combination of alphabets and numerals. It's a combination of alphabets and numerals. Only condition is it should not start with an alphabet. It should not start with a number. So it can start with alphabet, but it should not start with a number. So like underscore also is possible. We can start the identifier with underscore, but it should like something like 1 ABC. This is actually not permitted. Something like 1 ABC or 1 ABC ABC on one is possible, but one ABC it's not possible actually. It's a like can be a combination of alphabets and numerals. And one more thing, dollar symbol. Dollar symbol is actually a restricted keyword in Scala. We cannot actually use dollar symbol with any of the identifiers in Scala. It is restricted. It's a reserved character. We cannot use it. So some examples of uh, like alphanumeric identifiers is this one. So this is actually alphabet alone. This is alphabet alone also, but this is alphabet and numeric combination. Fine. These are actually possible alphanumeric identifiers, like possible alphanumeric identifiers. Then another thing is actually operator identifiers. So operator identifier means it's a combination of like you can use one or more operators as an identifier. So the example is like this one, plus, colon, less than, greater than, question mark, all those things. Operator identifier. So this is actually like it's understandable actually. Similarly, mixed identifier. Mixed identifier, like it means it can actually have alphanumeric plus underscore plus like an operator. So it's like it's a combination of alphanumeric plus other characters, operator identifier. So this is actually an example of mixed. Temp underscore like test underscore plus something like test 1 2 3 underscore plus. All these are actually like mixed identifier. So it's like a combination of alphanumeric, underscore, operator, all these things. So these are actually examples of mixed identifiers. These are examples of mixed identifiers. Then like literal identifier. So anything like enclosed within backticks, it is like literal identifier. So here this is actually a backtick. So the test is actually enclosed within backtick. So this is actually a mixed identifier. Not mixed, actually literal identifier. So it can be any string enclosed within backtick. Then we discussed like we cannot use any keywords as an identifier. So the keywords are actually like listed here. So these are actually the set of keywords used in Scala. So abstract, case, catch, class, def, do, else, extends, all these things are actually the set of keywords. This entire slide actually shows the set of keywords that we can't use as identifier. Then next thing is data types in Scala. So like these are actually like very basic things. That's why actually I'm skipping very fast. So we'll be like coming to we'll be going to discuss actually the programs. So this is actually one important thing, data types in Scala. So we have types like byte, short, int, long, float, double, char. So these are actually some of the data types. So similar remaining are actually like showed explained in the next slide. So byte is like 8-bit signed value. So it is an 8-bit signed value. Short is like it's 16-bit signed value. Int 32-bit. Long 64-bit. Float again 32-bit single precision float actually. Then double it's again 64-bit double precision float. Then char, it is actually like it's for storing character. These are actually for storing numbers like integers kind of thing. So another like remaining like string for it's a sequence of char, like ABC. If you want to store something like ABC or hello, like you can store in a string. Boolean like it has like values like either it can have true or false. Unit, it's actually corresponds to no value. Null for empty reference, nothing, any ref. These are actually like other data types in Scala. Then this is actually again another general thing. So comments in Scala. So we use double slash as a single line comment in Java, and like this combination kind of this thing, this slash and star combination, this actually we can use for multi-line comment. This is actually an example of multi-line comment. So whatever you are writing in between this, it will be like taken as a comment. Its comments are actually similar to Java comments. This comment is actually similar to Java comment only. This is a single line comment. This is actually a multi-line comment. Now actually we covered actually almost all like the basic background, like data types, identifiers, all those things related to Scala. So I am assuming that actually you have a basic programming knowledge of any of at least one of the programming languages, because this is just an introduction to Scala. So to the people those who knows actually some basic programming language, because otherwise because those people will be aware of these data types, keywords, identifiers, all those things. Now we discussed actually almost all the basic like backend things of, not backend actually, like the basic data types, all those things about Scala. Now we can actually try with a sample program in Scala. So sample program means actually in almost all cases sample program will be a hello world. So in Scala also, like what we are doing, we are actually going to write a hello world program. So this is actually a hello world program. It's like almost similar to Java program. So we have an object called hello world. So in Scala everything is object. So we have an object called hello world, object hello world, in brackets what we put, we have a main method. So the execution starts from the main method. So we have, since we don't have other methods, like we need to print only hello world. So we put println equal to hello world. I can have a semicolon like this, or I can avoid the semicolon. So this is nothing. It has a main method. It's an object. It has a main method. So this is the hello world program. What I am going to do is I am going to copy this, and I have the Linux here. I have nothing here. I am creating hello world dot Scala. Only thing you should take care is it should not, like the name of the Scala class, like a Scala file, the name of the file should be same as the name of the object. So here it is hello world. So here it is hello world. If I put something else, it will not work. Pasting the program. Now save it. Now I have hello world dot Scala. So how to execute it? We have the Scala compiler. Scala C hello world dot Scala. I compile it. Now if I type ls, I can see hello world dot class. Hello world dot class. I can see hello world dot class. Now what I have to do? Just like the Java execution, Scala, then hello world. Scala, then hello world. It will execute. So it first we compile it. Now we are executing it. Scala hello world. Now the hello world, it got printed. Hello world, it got printed. It got printed actually. So what is that? It is nothing but the content. Like we just instruct, like what we wrote, we just put hello world to print. So it got printed actually, nothing else. So this is actually the basic hello world program. So like this is the way actually Scala program executes. So this is the way to execute a Scala program from the command line, means a file. So Java also we can execute like this actually. But if you don't want actually to execute from the command line, if you want to execute something with an IDE, so you have options. You can use Eclipse, or you can use NetBeans, or you can download actually the Scala IDE from the internet. Scala IDE, a popular IDE is available actually. So Scala IDE you can download from the website. Scala IDE is available. So this is actually Scala IDE. So this is actually built on top of Eclipse only. So those who are like familiar with Eclipse, it will be very easy for them to use. So you can download the Scala IDE from here. So this is the Scala IDE. You can download it from here. You can write programs over there. And if you don't want to download this, you have actually like the Scala plugin available for Eclipse also, that you can add in already existing Eclipse. That will also work. Otherwise, like what you can do is you can add the plugin. If you are handy with NetBeans, you can use the Scala plugin for NetBeans. So that will also work. So we have multiple options. Like you can either execute from the command line, or you can use an IDE for the program execution. So in this program, like what is this hello world.scala? So this is an object hello world. So it has a main method and it has actually a print hello world. So what is an object? So previously we discussed like object, it has actually state and behavior. So state and behavior, we are expressing state and behavior using methods and like fields. So basically what is an object? Scalar object, it is actually a combination of some functions, variables, fields, all these things. So here actually we are like I'm showing another object, James Bond. So it has actually like some fields like first name, like variables like last name, age, full name, like it's a function full name equal to first name plus last name. So this is another function like say hello. So it accepts actually like some boolean, depending upon that it is. So inside the function what we are doing, it is doing some calculation. So it is doing some printing, some manipulation actually based on some condition. Fine, it is doing some manipulation based on some condition. So basically an object is a combination of functions and fields. So we'll see actually one object here. So I'm just copying the contents here, contents. So what we can do is we can open the scalar shell. So I just copied this one. So I'm just pasting the object James Bond from there. So you can see like once everything is perfect actually you can see defined object James Bond actually. So we have actually like variables like first name, last name, all these things, and like we have functions. These are some functions actually. So this is an object, it has actually some functions and fields. So what is first name? So if I type James Bond dot first name, it will show it is a string James. So we'll see like suppose if yeah, so this is actually the first name. So suppose pigeon actually pigeon dot like color, if white, it is something like if a white pigeon. So I am defining actually a pigeon with color white, like property fly, speed like 10 kilometer per second per minute, something like that. So those are actually the features of the pigeon. Similarly James Bond, I am defining an object with first name James, last name Bond, age 44. So here like James Bond dot age, it will show like age equal to 44 instead of type int, so type string. So this is actually an object. So it has actually some methods and fields. It has actually some methods and fields. So see, it has actually like full name. So full name actually what we are doing, it's a function actually. And what it will do, it will do concatenate the first name and the last name. So James dot we'll see what is there in the full name. So we'll call James Bond dot full name. So what it will give, it will give the first name, it will give the concatenated name. So James Bond, it returned this one. So this will be the return from this function. This will be the return from this function. So this is the return type of the function. So full name, it's of type string, it is of type string. Similarly we have another function called wish. Wish accepts actually a boolean value and it will return a string type. The function wish, it accepts a boolean value. So it is say hello, it actually accepts a boolean value and it returns a type of string. So what it will do, if say hello, if say hello is actually true, it will do this calculation. If say hello is false, it will do this calculation. So in Java we use actually return. So here we don't have to do return. So whatever is this will be returned actually. So we'll see what it will be returned. So James Bond James Bond dot wish. I'm putting true first. I'm passing a true, that is a boolean value. So it gave me, hello everyone, I am James Bond, I am an engineer. It gave me like this. So occupation we defined here, engineer. So this entire thing got concatenated. Similarly, if I am putting false, false, it will give me, yeah, hi, I am James Bond. So it gave me this one. I didn't put any return, I didn't put any semicolon. So it became actually very easy. Like if you are writing the same logic in Java, you have to write little more things. So in Scala actually I wrote the same thing, like with very few lines. So it developed, this program actually developed with some purpose actually. So they actually developed like by after seeing the drawbacks of the other existing programming languages. So in this way actually, like I think you got a clear idea about what is an object. So we defined an object. So this is an object. So now we will see actually what is a class. So class, previously we discussed, it is a template of an object. So what is a template? So template means, so just like pigeon and bird. So what is pigeon? So what is class? It is a template or blueprint. Object has state, behavior. Has state and behavior. Template, like class is actually the template or blueprint. So here actually we saw James Bond, it has actually state and behavior, we saw that. But similarly, if I want to define something like in James Bond, if I am defining actually Superman or Spider-Man, no, that is a James Bond. If I am defining another person like called James Clark, so James Clark, he will be having first name as James, last name as Clark, age I am defining 45 with James Clark. The features like first name James, last name Clark, age 45, occupation artist, what is the remaining thing, then full, like remaining these two functions. But if I want to define for James Clark, I have to create another object something similar to this and I have to use it. But if I have some template that is common, like that can be used for James Bond as well as James Clark as well as John Deere or any person, if I can define a common class for all these, like something like a person, class person, which has actually first name, last name, age, occupation, then full name function, then wish again another function, something like this. It will be like very useful. It is a reusable thing because we are going to define a template. We will be defining a template in that case. But if I define actually individual objects, if I have actually, like if I want to define this thing for 1,000 people, suppose 1,000 people, it will be very difficult actually. So in that case, what we can do, we will define a class for that. So that is what we are going to do next. So this is actually, like these slides actually explain how to use that. Now we are going to create a class. Class will be something like, it will be like, it can contain actually, it is a template, so it can contain actually n number of people like James Bond. So we are going to define a class. So this is something like, this is actually the definition of a class. What we are doing? We're defining actually the fields: first name, last name, age, occupation. Then we are defining full name is equal to first name plus last name. Then wish, say hello, string equal to hello everyone, I am full name, I am an engineer, else I am full name, just like that. So instead of assigning the proper values, actually we just defined a template. So depending upon the template, this will work. Fine, we'll see how to use this. So I'm just copying this. So this is the class actually. So class of person. So it has first name, last name, age, occupation, everything. So we're just going to execute this class. Create, and we'll see how to create objects of this class. Now this is a command line. So I'm just pasting the entire class here. Now we can see defined class person. So previously when we defined the object, it displayed something like defined object James Bond. So here we defined the class. So now if you want to create objects, what we can do? Well, John Henry, I want to create an object of John Henry. So just instantiate the class. This is the person class. So person, it has attributes, what all things. It has first name John, it has last name Henry, then it has age 20, then it has occupation engineer. So now we defined a class John Henry. So see, person, now we defined an object John Henry. So it's an object of the person class. So now we can try like John Henry dot. We can try. Now we have defined the object John Henry. So with the name, first name John, last name J Henry, age 20, and engineer. So now we will see like just similar to the James Bond that we defined previously. We will see like John Henry dot first name. John Henry dot first name. Now we got John. Similarly last name. Now we got Henry. Then age. So it's 20. It's coming properly. So occupation. It's engineer. He's an engineer. So it's going good. So first name or full name John Henry. So from this what we can see, like previously we defined an object that is actually specific for like James Bond, but here now we defined a class actually, like it is a generic class. We can create as many objects as you want. So we defined John Henry, and wish, what I am doing, true. So it has actually all the properties of the class. See, it is working. Similarly, what I am going to do, I am going to define another object Daniel John. So first name Daniel, second name John, age 22, job, like what I'll put, artist. Daniel John created. So Daniel John dot, let me take full name Daniel John, first name, so Daniel. It's working perfectly. So this means like now we learned how to create a class and object. So it is like we defined a template and we can create multiple objects of corresponding to the class person. So this is actually the way to create class and object in Scala. I'm creating some more objects just for like doing some operations actually in the next example. So what I'm going to do is, well, Peter Jones equal to new person of Peter Jones 33. Similarly, I am creating another object. um, mm, Sachin Raju. Sachin, then Raju 31, and his sports. Fine. Now we have actually four objects created, like Daniel John Henry, then Peter Jones, and Sachin Raju. We have four objects. Now we can do some operations using these objects. We'll do like highest of, we'll sort these objects based on like age. We'll sort this object based on like, it'll categorize these people based on, for categorizing we need like we'll put one more person. Like now we have a list of like person objects. So now we have actually like lot of person objects. What we can do is we can create a list of this person objects actually. So we are going to do some operations with the list. So we'll create a list like people with the list of person objects. So like val people equal to list of, like we have actually some other objects. So val people equal to list of what all objects we created. We created Daniel John, we created James Bond, then we created Arun Gopal, we created Ajit Krishnan, we created Sachin Raju, we created Peter Jones, we created. So we have this many. We created a list. Now we have actually list of person. So people, it's a list. So we are creating this list to just to do some operations with this like objects. So we'll find actually like the person with the maximum age. We'll sort the people with, like we'll based on name. We'll group the like people based on like occupation, all those things. We'll see these things. So first, what we are going to do, we are finding the average age of people. So what we can do, person people dot map person dot first name. We are going to map first name. Then what we are going to do, dot age. We are going to map based on age. Now we are going to find actually the maximum, like average age of these people. So what we can do is people dot map person dot age. So this is the thing, person dot age dot sum. It will find the sum of the ages of all the people. So what this will do is it will find the sum of ages of all the people. So then people dot length dot 2w. So it will actually find the number of people in the list. So if like total age equal to, like average age equal to the total age divided by number of people. So this will do the average. It will find the average. See, we'll get 31.666. So this is actually the average age of the people. So if you do this much, like if you find the sum alone, what we can do, we can find actually sum alone. What this will do, this will actually find the sum of the ages. So 33 30, that 31 30 34 40 22, it will find the sum of the ages, and this will actually give us the length of the list. So we have how many members? We have 6 members in this, 3 plus 3, we have 6 members in the list. So in this way we got the average age. So we got the average age in a very easiest way, like easier way. So like in a single line itself actually we got the average age of the people in the list. All the, so we have actually multiple person objects, we find the average age of all the persons in a single line. Similarly, what we are going to do next, is actually like we will sort actually age people based on the age. So currently what we did, Daniel, like
Yeah. Do you want to make it?
now we are sorting based on the age. So
Hey, let's have it. Hey, we have that card thing also from.
now we are sorting people based on the age. So we have actually like multiple people with different ages, like ages like 22 40 34 30 31 33. So this is not in the proper order, so we are going to sort in the proper order. So it will be like it will come something like actually 22 30 31 32 31 33 34 40, it will come like that. So here what the command is like val, here what I am doing is val age sorted people equal to people dot sort by age. So it gave me something like this. So it gave me a list, but that list is actually a little bit sorted. So here if you see, if I like here I created the list. So the list was something like this. So the first person was this person object, this one, the second was this object. So here if I see, first is this one, that is same 520, it's same, but second actually 985 is what it will be, it is supposed to actually this one 30 means it will be, it is supposed to be Ajit. So 985, so this is the person. So this is actually like 1 2 3 4, fourth one. So it is getting sorted actually. So we'll see, we'll print it actually. So the objects actually got sorted inside that based on the age. The objects inside the list got sorted based on the age. So that's like the assignment is something like val age sorted people equal to people dot sort by. Sort by is a function available, or it's a built-in function already available within there. So we sorted based on like age. Now we are going to just do a mapping. So age sort people dot map people person dot full name and person dot age. So now what we are getting like people and age. It is printing actually everyone with corresponding age. It is actually the sorted age. See here 22 30 31 33 34 40. So the list actually we are getting actually the results, the people name and the age in a sorted way. So we got it here. This is an example for sort by. So similarly we can actually see some other functions also. We can see like we can group persons based on a name actually. Since in this case actually we don't have like say similar first name, we'll see, because here do we have any common first name and last name? John, no, we don't have a common first name and last name. So this will not work, like you'll not be able to see any difference here. But what we are going to do is actually we are just going to group people based on the first name and last name. So similar here, what we are doing is people dot group by person dot first name. So because here we don't have any same first name, but here actually we are just grouping it actually. Similarly, if you want to group people by last name, it will be like people dot group by last name. So it got grouped actually, but like every group will be actually having only one value, because you see this is the thing, you are not actually like because see Raju is actually like the last name,
only one person is actually there with list of only one element, because we don't have actually multiple people having same last name. So if we have multiple people having same last name, you can see like more members in the list. That is actually the group 5 function. Similarly, we have a lot of functions actually, like you can try it out actually one by one. So what we discussed till now, like we discussed like objects, then we created classes, we tried some basic operations in the objects and classes. So this is what we discussed till now. So the first James Bond that we created was actually standalone object. So this was actually like and second time actually what we did, we created the same James Bond object by using a class also. Initially we just actually like defined an object like James Bond with some fields and methods functions. So secondly what we did, we created a template for the person and we created a James Bond object. So here we can see like you have actually a person James Bond. Where is that? Yeah, this is like James Bond. This is actually like this we created using the class. Initially what we created using just a standalone object actually we created. So that is actually like the standalone object means actually like the one we created long time, like at the first step. That is actually what we call a standalone object. Then inheritance. Next topic is actually like inheritance. So in Java actually we have inheritance means like parent will be having some properties, so the child of a parent will inherit actually the properties from the parent. So Java like a super class and a child class. So we use actually the extends keyword for our like inheritance, so extending actually the parent class, super class to a child class. So similarly in Scala also we have inheritance. So we will see actually how inheritance is actually happening in Scala.
Simple example of inheritance is like explained here. So like in Java we use the extends keyword. So similarly like here also we use the extends. So we have a class called person. So what we are going to do is here we are going to like extend like the person class and create an object. So I'm going to create this is James Wall. So what I'm going to create is I'm going to create something else. The chords I copied from the Word doc, so it came in a different way. I have to replace it, otherwise it will throw error. I'll give some other name. So James object James Tom extends James person James Tom, age equal to 45 and occupation is architect. Now again it got created, James Tom object got created. So we'll see. So here what different, like one thing that we noticed is like it's not only the methods actually functions, but the vals and wars it also got overridden, because this person is the parent class and it has actually like first name last name occupation, like full name, all those things. Full name is a function, so we got James Tom full name. Then James Tom wish. See, we got like this. So this is a simple inheritance. You can like, I'll put more assignments. So there are some assignments related to inheritance, so you can try those things. So this is actually a very simple way like of inheritance, just to show you an example. So the remaining inheritance we'll try it in the like assignment section. Now like this is actually a simple example of inheritance. So Fine. So in Java we have interfaces. So similar to similar to interface in Scala, what we have is triads. So triads are actually more powerful than the interfaces in Java. So we'll see actually the usage of triads and all in the examples actually. So it's similar to interface in Java. So those who are actually aware of Java interface, like you can actually correlate with the triads actually very easily. So it's like actually some templates of functions and functions actually that we describe in triad interfaces actually. So just like that interface in Java, we have triads in Scala. So we'll see those things in the assignments. So now we have like another thing that we are discussing, like immutable and mutable objects in Scala. Immutable and mutable objects in Scala. So in the programs actually we might have observed like we used val and var. So val and var means actually val is actually an immutable object, and var actually it's a mutable object. So it has actually its own advantages. So sometimes actually in some places we use immutable objects, and some places actually we use mutable objects. So because there are actually some benefits if you use immutable objects. So one is like since it cannot be changed, so it avoids actually the unwanted modifications to the objects. That is actually advantages of immutable object. In some places actually we may need mutable objects, because we may have to change the value of an object, so we may need that also. So it depends actually, depending upon the situation, we we need immutable and mutable objects actually. So an example is actually shown here. So here you can see val v equal to car actually. So if you try to actually use assign something like a jeep, a second value v jeep to v, you can see it will throw an error. So this is actually I used this is actually the Scala IDE, so that's why the red mark is coming. So you can actually try it in command line also. Command line also it will throw error. So this is this is immutable. So val is actually immutable. So but if you use var in the same case, you can see var v equal to car, var v equal to v equal to jeep, it will work. So it will not actually throw any error, because we can be changed, because it is a var. So if you use val, it cannot be changed actually. Var is actually mutable, val is actually immutable. Similarly, val v equal to new vehicle of bus, v equal to new vehicle of truck, it is not possible, it cannot be, it is not allowed actually. So val v equal to new vehicle of bus, v dot vehicle name. So we didn't actually change it, but we just actually put v dot vehicle name. So this is actually possible. So but we cannot actually do we cannot create a new object, we cannot actually instantiate it with a new thing called truck actually. So this is actually we are just modifying its property. So we are not actually instantiating anything new. We used the same name, same v, and we just modified its name. That's it. We didn't actually we didn't actually modify the instance itself actually. So that's why this is possible, but this is actually not possible. This is an allowed operation actually. That because of that actually this is an allowed operation. But if you try to create something like v equal to new vehicle of truck, that will be actually that is not allowed actually. That is because of immutability, it's not allowed. So this is allowed because vehicle name is a collection. This is actually a string of type var. So this is actually associated with this vehicle name is associated with this mutable this class, and it is of type var. So we can change that vehicle name, but we can't actually change v we can't change, but we can change actually, we can modify a mutable mutable collection or mutable field or anything associated with an immutable object. So that is possible. That is the reason actually it is not throwing any error. So we'll see actually these things in the remaining examples. So with this actually like what we covered like the basics of Scala, we covered like the object, we covered the class, we covered the data types, we covered actually the general usage, like how to use what are the keywords, identifiers, all those things in Scala. So we covered actually like very basics of Scala. So one more thing I'll take you I'll guide you is like how to use the IDE, Scala IDE. So I'll just show that. You can download the Scala IDE from this URL. You can it's downloadable from here. So it is like this is an IDE built on Eclipse. So once you download, you will get something like this, Scala SDK 4.1. Like this is the current version. So it is built on Eclipse. So you can double click on this, it will open up. If you already have an Eclipse, you can add go to the marketplace of Eclipse and you can add actually the Scala SDK also. That is also possible. Otherwise, if you don't want that, you can download the entire rest IDE, the entire Eclipse IDE with the Scala SDK. So it's getting loaded. It will take some time. It is loading. So it got loaded. So now it will be something like this. So it is same as Eclipse. It's same as Eclipse only. So you can create new Scala project if you want to create a Scala project. Suppose this one, new Scala project. Suppose I will close all the projects. I will close all the projects. Close all. I am going to create a new one, new Scala project. This is same as Eclipse. So here, if you see here, you can see Java, J2E, Java E. Here we have Scala perspective also. Here we have Scala perspective also. So here we opened this thing in Scala perspective. We can use this for Java development also. So here we open the Eclipse in Scala perspective and we are new Scala project. Scramble Scala project. So we created this project. Here if you want to create new class, you can create a new class like this, sample. So the class will get created. It will get created. Similarly, if you want to create an object, so here the class got created. So the class got created. Similarly, if you want to create an object, you can go create new Scala object. So you can do all the operations here. Fine. So this is actually the basic explanation of this IDE. Remaining actually it's self-explanatory. You can try everything here. Fine. Thank you.